Welcome back to the second episode of our TVGP's Critical Misses anime twofer. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpear.
Hello.
Last time we watched whatever
The night is young.
that
Walk on,
was.
go.
Sure, it was. I think we came
The
down
the
to
experience.
an experience, a journey
Uh-huh.
of some
Uh-huh.
sort. This time we're gonna watch Summer Wars, 2009's Summer Wars. Um,
Oh boy, here we go.
what are you worried about?
I have been having this thing pumped up to me for 15 years.
Oh boy. Okay. By who?
Anybody I know who likes anime,
Okay.
it's like whenever the question has come up is like, yeah, I feel like watching anime, but I don't know how I exactly feel.
Somebody
Uh, I I
somebody
don't
kicks
know
open
if
your
I
door. They've been sprinting. They're like, Summer Wars. You gotta watch Summer Wars. Blah.
Pretty much, yes. It's like oh, I don't know if I'm in the mood for a long show. If I watch Bleach or Naruto again, I'm gonna have to start at the very
Summer
beginning.
Wars. Like who's
Yes,
yelling from their
essentially.
car?
Pretty much, yes. That's
Mm-hmm.
been it. I have been hyperbolically inundated with notes that Summer Wars is a banger and maybe you should watch it.
You know, that's kind of funny because I watched this movie probably not too long after it came out. Once it landed here in the U.S. Um, and I had watched it because it's produced uh, by the and directed by the same company that did The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, which people really love, and I just have never gotten around to watching. And they're like, okay, well, here's that dude's next movie, and it's better than the last one. I was like, dang, all right, you really like the Leapt Through Time one, so okay, let's pick this up. And honestly, it's sort of funny because I haven't heard too many people that like have seen this movie and like it, really like it. You can count
Uh-huh.
me in that group as well. But I feel like this is one of those movies that I feel like kind of gets missed in a lot of lists because a lot of the lists we talked about this in our production meeting too of like, oh, you gotta watch Ghost in the Shell 1 and 2, you gotta watch Akira, you gotta watch
Uh-huh.
Howl's Moving Castle. You know, like you have the usual suspects. And I feel
Uh-huh.
like by the time that you've finished that list, it's like, here's the 25 anime films that are on literally every website on the planet. See you later. It's like, yeah, cool. What's the next list after I've seen those? Like, what's list number two?
Yeah,
Um,
I mean there's a reason we haven't covered any of the Howl stuff yet. Not the Howls, the Ghibli stuff.
right.
Despite the fact that I've seen like one of them.
Yeah, and there's enough Ghibli
We
stuff.
have a season.
We could do a number
we
of
have a,
seasons
we have a
of
show
that
for that.
stuff. So that's, that has been a piece of frustration because I like this movie a lot, and I think it it often gets overlooked um, in lists like that because it's not the kind of big flashy super movies that like the 25 you gotta watch before you die, that sort of thing, which
Uh-huh.
is kind of a bummer. um, I do want to say here before I start grilling you, um, I am not a subs versus dubs guy. I genuinely do not care at the end of the. I'm 43 years old. I have been in those trenches when I was much
Yes.
younger. I don't care. I really recommend the dub on this one. The English dub is
Okay.
really, really, really good. Um, there are also a ton of characters in this movie. So the less that you're going to have to read, I think the better in a movie like this. Is the family that you run into after a short intro in this movie is large. So
Uh-huh.
I think make it a little bit easy on yourself, Moon, and to your listeners, and listen to the English dub.
So for me, if we want to talk about the subs versus dubs
Sure, yeah.
discussion, for me the key to that is how you first experienced it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like, because I cannot watch the subs version of Dragon Ball Z
Oh, for sure. Those aren't my. That's
But
not Goku. What? Who's that
exactly,
dude?
that's not my Goku. That's not my Vegeta.
That's right.
But I can't watch the dubbed version of Naruto.
Right. Because I like she has a really great voice for Naruto. That's not.
Hmm.
That's not. I got to get the Dade Bio in there. Like that's not. That's
Yeah,
what I need.
yeah, it's weird. Like for me, it always comes down to what did you first
Right.
experience it
Cowboy
in.
Bebop
That
is a big
that
one
is what
for
you
an
should do.
English dub. Like the Japanese version of that really great. But the English dub of that is really 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 good.
Yeah, and like Akira, I will never not hear Tetsuo
Mhm.
shouted in
Canada.
anything other than the original Japanese version.
So
Like I can't hear that scream anywhere else.
what's so funny is especially for Akira growing up on the VHS version that was originally made here in the States, um, is sort of infamous because they got everybody sort of appropriately to play all of the characters, except there's that one kid who's kind of gray and he looks all wrinkly and old. They got like a
Yeah.
really old dude to play him in the original English dub. So it's just like that kid's like 8. Like what do you
Uh-huh.
he's over there like, "Oh, whippersnappers." It's like, "Oh,
He's
okay."
looked the way he's looked for a reason.
Yeah.
It's the
It's not
experimentation.
it's not
It's
age.
not age.
Yeah, like so that always has a soft spot in my heart of just like you really that was a different era for a lot of this stuff. So since this movie has been recommended to you so many times, what have you gleaned about Summer Wars? Like what have you absorbed
Literally
over?
nothing.
Okay,
Because it's one of those things where anytime anybody says anything about it, like just go in blind. Go in blind.
interesting.
Don't just don't worry about anything like that. Just
Don't worry your pretty little head. Just go watch a movie.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's really interesting because I think um the main plot of Summer Wars, which is this woman brings this guy back home for her grandma's birthday party and pretends that he's her fiance to kind of get the family off their back is
Mhm.
maybe like 2% of the movie. Like that's the plot of like, oh no, what's gonna happen? Whoopity doo. And it's like, that's sure that's part of it, but there's a way bigger thing happening in this movie, sort of based on the main character, the male main character's sort of natural aptitude for math, which is certainly not what I thought it was going to be going into it, which I'm not sure how much of that has sort of colored my love of it. Of like, oh yeah, it's a rom com, and it's like, oh no, it not really. For maybe like 10 minutes,
Mhm.
sure, but that's the rest of the movie is a much different adventure, much different journey. Ha. Um,
Oh, I hate you.
yeah. So I don't know what else to say about this really going in because I kind of I don't want to give away the game here beforehand. Um, how do you feel about it going in, especially with the anime movie peer pressure over the last decade plus?
I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where like I'm going in and I'm thinking, okay, open mind, open book.
Right.
Like
Open
let's
hearts can't
give
lose.
this exactly. Let's
Yeah.
give this the time it deserves. It might be a good day off treat to myself when I don't have to work during Thanksgiving for
Sure.
once. To just sit down and enjoy this after everybody has left, and I can
Right.
decompress in a way that doesn't involve thousands of people. I hate people so much. Um,
Yeah.
Hey, if the population of a room is more than 4, I'm
Yeah.
having an anxiety
too
attack
much.
in the corner.
Yeah.
I'm the meme in the corner where they don't know I'm having an anxiety attack.
That's
That's
right.
me. That's me.
Losing your religion. Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I'm curious, and I know like, it's what did you say? It was '09, so it's one of
Yep.
those things where I'm very curious. Animation wise, Because, like I said, I watched a lot of Dragon Ball Z, which was all the hand-drawn stuff. Then
Yep,
I watched
all
a whole
cell
bunch
animation.
of I
Yep.
watched a whole bunch of Naruto, which started as cell animation and then very quickly transitioned into a little bit of the CG magic in there too.
Yeah.
And then I watched Bleach, which was a little bit of half and half. There's like, no,
Hmm.
this is definitely CG that you're putting inside this anime that I'm seeing
Oh
here.
yeah.
And then I know what some of the more recent Ghost in the Shell stuff is all CG, and it's just like, okay,
Yeah, that stuff looks rough.
like,
It's interesting because like the Ghost in the Shell more recent stuff, I guess like 2097 is one of them. Um, when we watched Fooly Cooly, that was one of the
oh,
first big, completely computer generated anime series that was done. And that doesn't look like it at all. There's certain elements that
no,
are like, here's a giant robot, and yeah, like we're
yes,
doing it. Um, but it's really interesting to see now that so much anime is being done exclusively digitally. You know, how do you kind of tread the line between I want to make this look like a traditional cell animated thing versus no, I'm going to make this look like a PS1, PS2 cutscene. You know, how do you
yeah.
kind of straddle that line? I'm very curious due to the nature of this movie to circle back on that conversation in part two of this episode. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It has been a couple of years since I've seen this, and I'm pretty excited to watch this again because I tend not to rewatch movies a lot in general. Um, so
I
I'm
I I like to say I don't, but certain things just become my comfort things, which is like I'm
yeah,
cleaning, it's on in the background. I'm doing something else, it's on in the background.
exactly. Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on, you apes, you want to live forever? I've probably heard about 5 million times.
yep, yep. All right. Well, on that note, let's go watch the film.
Yep.
Hello, welcome back. We have finished the film Summer Wars, aka
Anime. The anime.
the anime. Do you know how to play Hanafuda? The answer is no.
No.
Yeah,
I assumed it was a made up game.
no. That's where Nintendo got their start. That was the first thing they made was Hanafuda cards back
Ah.
in 17, 16.
If you paired Mario with Luigi, is that how you got a winning hand? I don't know
Probably,
how to
yeah. And
play
then you
this
say
game.
koi
Don't ask
koi,
me.
and you
Yeah.
recover all the accounts. Yep,
No,
yep,
you,
yep, yep.
you don't say koi koi, you say what,
That's
like
right.
the Super Mario Brothers games.
I love that
Wah, wah.
you triggered somebody with the singing toads.
100%. Yep. Do, do,
Oh
do,
my god.
do, wah, wah.
Wah,
Do,
wah.
do.
So
Oh,
good.
it's so annoying, dude. I
It's
triggered myself with it
it's
more
so
than
good.
anything else.
Anyways, Summer Wars. We have finished
Hmm.
the film. Uh,
Yes. There's nothing like eating too much food on, spoiler alert, Thanksgiving, and then watching this movie. Um,
tucking into a tale of nightmare future scenarios of an interconnected internet that the entirety of society relies on.
wait, you said future.
Mm-hmm.
You got it
I
wrong,
mean,
dude. Why are you
by
saying the word
by that I
future?
mean tomorrow.
I mean, that was last year, dude.
It's X, the everything app, right?
When
It's the only time you'll get me to call it X, by the way.
you're making fun of it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. How let's get this out of the way, as we sort of did for the last episode. How did you feel about Summer Wars overall? You know, with this being a fairly different anime film from the previous movie.
I think it's actually very interesting and super charming.
Mm,
Um, it's it's weird because it's that weird mix of like you've got the CG virtual world.
yeah, when you're in Oz, that's this very
Second Life, I think you'll find it's called.
second life. Um,
Oh,
That's
sorry, that was a mistake. It's the Oasis, which is the one from Ready Player One. That's the one.
the always. Um, that's one of the things I like the most about this movie is there's such a stark difference between the real world and the world of Oz. And I think one of the things that sets the art style of Oz apart for me is instead of the outlines of everything being in that kind of thick, stark black, it's all red lines. And I think that makes it feel so. Not only is it different because all these avatars are fantastical and everything looks kind of the way you expect
I
a CG movie to look, but that
Yeah,
outline
I
really
don't know
sets it
about
apart.
you, but for the rest of time, I want my avatar to just be a pixelated version of my face on like a 3D body.
It's
It's
a
just
very good
goals.
one. Or like a really wimpy squirrel, either one.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Um I forgot how much I kind of liked both styles of this movie. I think the Oz stuff is really cool, but I like the animation style of the real world stuff feels a little bit looser than I remember. Like it's very well done. It's very I think it's very like you said charming,
Hmm.
but a lot of the character animations like everybody's a little bit more rubbery than I think you would expect for something that's really grounded in reality, and I think that helps the movie quite a bit overall.
Yeah, and then, I think it also helps with the fact that this movie, you can't, I cannot put this movie in a genre
Yeah.
because it's a comedy, a drama, an action movie, a martial arts movie.
Somebody said
It's
it's a cyberpunk movie, and I'm like, I mean, sure,
kind
yeah,
of.
I guess. So I think that's and I one of the things that really tickles me about this movie is it has one of the largest and most memorable cast of characters of any film I've seen. It has what is it, 40 different people in this movie
Something like
in
that.
this
Yeah.
one house and manages to I th-
Weirdly, like I think it primarily focuses at least like 10 to 15, 10 to
mhm.
11 maybe of them because like most of them are very important in one way or the other.
Yeah, and like I think even when characters aren't super important to the film, like there are the three really young kids that are playing video games all the time. I really I really love the scenes. It reminds me of one of my favorite movies is Hot Fuzz. I love this the scene that everybody loves in Hot Fuzz where he's getting deeper and deeper in the country and there's less and less stuff. The bars on his phone are ticking down. I love the version of that
The
in
third
this.
montage of that movie.
Yes. I love the version of that in here where they're on one bus after another with less people on it and like the
Hmm.
signposts next to the road with like the bus schedule are getting in less and less repair, and I love the
And also they
kids.
keep bumping into family members
Right.
too on the way,
Yeah,
like
they're
new
all
family
kind of
members.
converging, but I love the kids on their little like DSs that are when the bus is weaving through the mountains, they're kind of leaning back and forth and over, like almost following each other, but not peeling their eyes away from the screen. The little moments like that tickle me in this movie quite a bit.
Hmm.
Yeah, but like even when you have the little kids, like there's the mom that's cheering for the baseball team. Like that's basically all
Yes,
she
which
does in
is that her husband, I think
her
that's her
son,
husband who's
the high schooler.
okay.
Yeah, um, but like that's really her only thing in the movie. But she's so
Everyone's getting
memorable.
food prepped and she's sitting there in the kitchen watching the baseball game. Yeah.
Yep. She's hugging the picture of the great grandma and crying over the baseball game. Like it's I think it's such a strong case for making memorable characters that only have maybe a handful of things that are going on for them. Like you have the baseball lady. That's it. She's cheering for her son in this like
Hmm.
10 game baseball championship that's, taking place through the whole thing. Um
There's a really good false reveal on that too, because like when I don't know names. I'm terrible with names. So
No,
when
yeah.
the girl and the main boy arrive and they have dinner that very first night,
Hmm.
she's like, "Okay, let's run down some names," and does like the roll call of
It's
everybody there.
it's so
But
good.
it's like the song from Encanto.
Right, with the
The
family madrigal song.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's just running down all of these names so quickly.
Yep.
But then, like, you're seeing them, but you don't see the husbands because four of them are still at work and they still
Right.
haven't arrived. And what it's not telling you is that's 5% of the total population of people who are actually going to be arriving here.
Right.
Think this is a big family with this table? You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, we haven't even brought out the other table. Like we only have 3 tables right
Mm-hmm.
now. It gets bigger than this, which I think is a really cool payoff later in the movie when they read the tearjerker letter from great grandma, and she says, "You all need to sit down and you need to have a meal." And seeing like 40 of them around this one table shoveling food into their mouth as fast as they can, like that's
Even the black sheep just comes in, walks in, sits down, eats food.
yeah. Wabi sits down and everybody's like, "Yeah, well,
The
not
only name I know, by the way.
right." Not a big fan of you, but she wrote it in the letter, so sit down. Come on.
Uh-huh.
I really do like the it's it's really funny because I think the original kind of pitch for this movie was, she invited him to her home and now he's her secret fiance and everybody's just got to get along. And I'm like, yeah, it's like
2
1%
minutes.
of this movie, and like
Yeah.
it has a cute payoff, but so much of this movie is the dealing with Love Machine and Oz and dealing with the dynamics of this family. And
Uh-huh.
the thing I love that anime consistently does, where the struggles of the high school baseball championship are overlaid with the struggles of the family against Love Machine and Oz. I
Yes.
eat that stuff up every single time. Um,
You love a mixed fate storyline
I
where one affects the other, essentially.
really do. Yeah.
So, one of my favorite things about I do genuinely like this movie a lot. And one of the reasons why I like it a lot is it's 2024
Right.
as we're recording this.
Yep.
Probably not when you're hearing this. Welcome to 25, everybody.
Hello.
Help. Um, I made the joke at the start of the second half. Why are you talking about the future? Because
Hmm.
this is a lot closer. / people don't realize exactly how much of like the world's infrastructure kind of relies on the internet. Like this
Right.
doesn't. People don't. It's deeper than you think, folks.
And this movie
Um,
came out in 2009, so
Yeah.
like quite a while ago.
But like, I love the fact that from my perspective, the message of this movie is, yo, just be nice to people, like
Right.
support each other. Like when all of the infrastructure starts going down, and literally it takes grandma on a rotary phone
Oh,
calling
such a
in
good scene.
all of the people that she knows. Like she calls in her sons, she calls in the like politicians she knows.
I love the one
She,
cop brother is like, why is she talking to the chief of police? How does she even know
uh-huh.
him? Like,
Why is my boss on the phone with
that's
her?
right.
Like,
That's
like
right.
how do, and the fireman like picks up the phone that's in the fire engine. Is like, how did you get this
That's right.
number?
Hi, it's me, your great grandma. It's like, what the hell?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But like that whole thing of like, yeah, the internet is important and vital in so many different ways, more so these days than ever. The internet is a human right. It should be free. Don't at me. I
Yep.
don't care.
Ditto.
Um, but at the same time, the thing that helps everybody is just being nice to people,
And
supporting one another.
having that human connection. Like
Yeah.
that's one thing that I thought always. This movie makes me cry like 4 times in it. One of them is the dumbest because it's just like in the great grandma's letter where she's like, if Wabi comes home, it's been 10 years, make sure he can eat the peaches out of the garden. I'm like, the peaches. It's stupid.
Well, we're also the black sheep of our family. So.
Yeah, so there you go. But like I think this is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I love so much about this, but I love the the human side of the connections that we make online being kind of the central point of this movie. Like, you're you should have these digital connections, and they are important for a myriad of reasons. But when it comes down to the end of the day, like you said, you need to be kind, and you need to support people as much as you possibly can in whatever ways that you are able to. Um,
Yeah. Card carrying socialist here, so you know,
right,
take that and run with that however you want to besmirch my name. I don't really care.
right,
But like this, the whole nature of the philosophy of the idea is this is not a joke based on a meme.
okay,
We live in a society.
got him.
We should maybe, you know, support each other
Right,
like
like
a
take care
society
of
does.
other people, and like the ultimate payoff in this movie of that one German kid who just gives up his avatar at the end during the Hanafuda game is just that's another scene that makes me cry. Um, but like it's the ultimate, like, you genuinely do need to take care of people, and I feel like when we get movies that are so surrounded or centered around the internet, I feel like that often isn't the answer. It is, let's foster our online communities. Let's hack the planet. Let's do whatever we're going to
Hmm.
do. And like that obviously is important. That's, a previous season. But I like that the message here is we can only succeed when we are taking care of each other. And that like that kind of like naked positivity isn't something we usually get, and I love
Yeah.
this movie for that.
Hmm. I mean, it's so great, and like some of the moments in it are absolutely fantastic. The evolution of the boyfriend,
Yep.
from learning that she's basically given him the backstory to her uncle, her long lost uncle, who she clearly had a crush on when she was a kid.
That scene when she's
Um,
like, "Oh, the whole family, like, everybody has been in this position of like, wait, why are they telling this new person all of my deepest darkest secrets?" Of like, "Oh, right,
mhm.
wasn't she in love with him and she's just dying over there?" That's such a great scene.
Yes. And as somewhat of a bully kind of character, I kind of appreciate that scene where it's like
Mm-hmm.
you wrote this dude into something he didn't know he was doing. You didn't know he didn't let him know exactly what to expect.
Right.
And you kind of get in your just desserts here.
Right. It's true. Yep. Yeah. Um, I I really like the iconography in Oz. I like not just the
It fe
avatars.
I like it, but it definitely feels like obviously we are two people who were raised in the quote unquote Western world.
Mm-hmm.
So we were both raised in English speaking countries. We both use the internet from English speaking countries. We do this podcast from an English speaking country.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's so very Japanese. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, what if Japan became the Google of the world,
Right.
essentially? And
And
it's like a really interesting like spin on that, where it's like, yeah, I could see this if like if Google was an actual Japanese company and then they set up this quote unquote second life or whatever it
mm-hmm.
is. I could see it being represented this way. Very vivid, very bright. The
Yeah.
security team is two giant whales that fly around the sky.
Oh, it's so good. The two whales wearing the crowns. Oh, I keep forgetting what their names are, but their names are really good. I'll have to look it up here in a minute. Um, but even like the center of Oz is essentially like a multi-layered library where it's like a
uh
360 book thing. Like when Love Machine knocks over a lot of the infrastructure, he's just knocking over a bunch of dominoes that kind of spiderweb their way throughout um, throughout the whole of Oz. Like, I think that stuff just looks, it's such a cool way of displaying the internet and the infrastructure in a way that doesn't need you to explain it any more than how it looks, really. And
Yeah.
I think we've seen enough movies where it's like, oh, I'm gonna run a packet trace, tippy tappy typing, and then like just 50 million lines show up on the screen. It's like, okay, cool. I bet that's important. Sure.
Hmm.
So I like that there's a little bit of a different, um, a little bit of a different, like display of it.
And I do also like the whole Avatar thing. Like I said, there's very
Mm,
much. It reminded me a lot of the Ready Player One Oasis situation, where it's like, yeah, most people are living, they're living a double life, Mr. Anderson.
right.
Um, in one they are regular humans walking around the world, and in the other they're secretly hackers
Right.
or math nerds. I like the fact that the hero is a math nerd too, by the way.
Yep.
Just like, I mean, kind of the hero. He seems to be the one who gets the lesson from Grandma of like, yo, just take care of each other. He's the one who actually understands it, whereas everybody else is just like wrapped up in their own BS.
Well, and I like that he is like one of Japan's top math guys, at least in kind of like a like high school. And then he gets the answer wrong when Love Machine sends him the test. Like it was whatever, like 30 something people got it right, and he messed up the last letter of it. It was supposed to be an E or something. He put a Q. And everyone's like, oh, look
Yes.
at this super big math nerd. Ho, can't even get it right. And it's like, that's that's pretty good that it's not even his fault. Uh,
Hmm.
and he kind of gets his hero moment payback at the end where he's uh, cracking those codes in his head. It gets like the nosebleed at the end. Um,
Yes. I was gonna say I don't know if I was happy or sad to see the nosebleed at the end. I get
mhm.
it. It's kind of tropish at the
It's
moment.
like the
Like,
most anime trope you can have of like, I got embarrassed by a woman and I got a nosebleed. But I like that he got one when he was concentrating so hard in the like math uh, scene.
yes.
Real quick name, the whales' names are John and Yoko, which is
Mm.
real good. Um,
What happened to the other Beatles is what I want to know.
hey, hey man, don't worry about them.
No, they're hidden
Um,
in the bookshelves somewhere.
that's right. I do. So I really love this movie. I do have some problems with it. Uh,
It moves a little slow at times.
yeah, and I think it has a pretty slow intro. It's certainly not the slowest of my favorite anime movies. That's the Oh My Goddess movie, which is like abysmally slow. I love it. It's one of the most beautiful anime movies ever made, but it's like 2 hours and it's like 5 times slower than this movie. Which is one of the big reasons we didn't watch it on the show. Um, I when the movie hits it's kind of its third act where Love Machine's been defeated but then comes back, and when you find out that Love Machine is going to forcibly crash a satellite into a nuclear like reactor, that's where the movie I think starts struggling. Um cuz I look, you need there to be a reason for the family to fight back against Love Machine other than he took everybody's avatars. But it feels like a little bit too big, I think, of like it's gonna destroy the world. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that pretty big? Like it's got to be big, but isn't that like a little bit too big? But like we talked about in the last episode, one of the benefits of anime is you can make things like this completely ludicrous and still sort of be like, well, yeah, of course, this rogue developed AI by one person turned loose on Oz by the Department of Defense would use GPS junk data to crash, yada 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 yada. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
sure, okay. And sort of hand in hand with that, I think the gathering of the family, where like two or three of the people are like, "Hey, don't worry, I got this giant, server farm. Where'd it come from? I can't tell you that."
Yep. I run a computer store, but
Right,
well, you know, that's it's literally just a front.
right,
I have big contracts with military people. Don't you worry
right.
about it.
All of that I feel like got set up a little bit too perfectly. Again, that's the benefits of anime, but sort of like, we've got this giant ship.
No, no, no.
Hmm.
It's not just the benefits of anime. It's also the benefits of having a very well connected family. Because she
That's a good
knows
point.
everybody in power. She knows everybody in high positions. When they ask the brother who brings the military internet connection,
Hmm.
and he's like, "So what exactly do you do in like the security service?" And he's like, "Well, that's classified."
That's right. Also, I really do. I love how many things the little kids mess up constantly, and I really love that scene there where they're pulling on the cables that are coming out of that military internet truck, and he turns around and they're just like looking around like,
We
we're
didn't
not.
do it. We're just looking.
That wasn't
We're
even. I was
literally
just
just
checking.
looking.
Yeah, he turns back around and they're pulling on it. Like, I love the fact that King Kazuma can't take care of Love Machine at the very beginning, because the three kids are hassling the main guy character because they think that he's the one that caused Oz's crash. So they're like
Yep.
messing with him while Cosmo's trying to fight. It's like there's always this, it feels true to life of like, you guys don't understand the stakes that are going on, like nobody in this family does, but I need you guys to chill for literally 5 minutes so I can fist fight the bad guy in Second Life.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really good. I also like that King Kazuma character, like both the real world and the virtual world version.
Yep.
Um, Learning that it's just a kid who got bullied, and then the grandpa taught him martial arts,
Mm-hmm.
and of course it's the loud, obnoxious talking grandpa too, who's just a complete d-bag the entire time
Yep.
until you find out it was him who did the good thing. It's
The
just like,
Jinouchi family fought with 2,000 soldiers against
Mhm.
25,000. It's just like, bro, no. I love that scene where I think it's the first dinner where he's telling the story and literally nobody is listening to him. Like, they've heard it 400 times. Even the boyfriend isn't even listening at this point either. It's just like, he's just gonna go. He's gonna tell the story again. He'll be done in 2 hours. Just let him sleep it off. He's had too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff is really, and I like too that the you know a big part of why Wabisuke made Love Machine was to sell it to a governmental organization or a company or something to get the family back into financial good graces, because they've sort of seen rough times over the last at least couple of years, if not couple of decades. And
Yes.
their family
They're like,
definitely,
oh, like we used to own so much, and the land is going,
yeah,
and
like we used to
everything
own
else.
all these
And then they
companies, and
pull up to the house, and the house is a mansion, a palatial mansion on
right.
like an estate, like by themselves. It's like, really?
You guys are still doing okay. But I like that by the end of the movie, Love Machine obviously doesn't really get them financially where they need to be, but the satellite that crashes like finds a hot spring underneath their property that sort of leads you to
Yes.
say like, well,
Well,
now
we
they
know
have a
hot springs are big,
yeah,
so
like they could potentially have a big business venture that's just right there in their backyard. And then you get that great shot of just this huge line of people lining up outside the house to pay their respects for great grandma, which is really great.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie probably has the most pumped I get for a digital card game on film.
I wish I knew the rules.
So like, what's funny is I've seen this movie so many times, and there was a Yakuza Like a Dragon game that I played this year. It was either Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, or Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth that had Hanafuda in it. It might have been both. And I started to learn how to play the game in there largely because of Summer Wars. And I did a bunch of the tutorial stuff and I learned a little bit of it and I started playing and I'm like, dang, okay, this is really good, but I feel like I sort of need like a Hanafuda app on my phone to play it a lot more constantly. And watching this movie again, I'm like, I need to learn how to play this because I want to yell koi koi and just be like, yep, I won. And I said something cool at the same time. Hanafuda.
Yep. Who knows?
Yeah. But it's such a good, like, her family yelling at her behind her and cheering her on while they're all sweating because it's the hottest day of the year. And then all of them digitally cheering her on when her avatar looks sick as hell. And then one of the whales makes it look even cooler. Like,
yes.
Dang, man. That scene's incredible.
She,
just this glowing card slams the other one. She gets like a dry 5 bright. And just like, yes, let's go. That is probably good, but yes.
At least we know where the Pokemon got the Gigamax idea
That's
from.
Right. That's right. Pulling it straight from...
I almost said Betamax.
That's right. That's a different Pokemon.
It's a different Max.
Yeah. But man, like, just even as soon as she starts playing and like the kind of the one hand she loses where it takes, you know, hundreds of thousands and millions of avatars away from her, and that one little German kid being like, hey man, you can have my avatar, let's do this. And I'm like, yeah, humanity can be cool. It's sort of I think it comes to get personal, I think it comes at a really important time for me personally, as Twitter as a main social network continues to devolve into Nazi craziness, and like large scale machine learning bots talking to other bots.
Oh yeah, I have gained 60 new followers on Twitter this week. And guess how many of them have posts?
Well, they're all very attractive ladies in your area that want to talk to you, right?
They are 100%, and none of them have got a thing to say.
Oh, that's so strange. They'll DM you in a minute, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
But as that kind of devolves and gets into it continues its trend of being a Nazi-friendly, toxic, terrible place. And as U.S. politics continue to devolve into actually a fairly similar thing now that I think of it.
You could just say authoritarianism. That's fine.
Yeah. I think the message of this movie and the way that it's presented is kind of like the balm for my soul at the moment, where it's like, yes, that's right. People, when they help other people, no matter who they are or financially how you're standing or what pronouns you use or whatever the bugaboo for a lot of horrible people are, you can do great things when you just take care of each other and you just help people. And I think that's like the positive message that I genuinely did need to hear. I finished this movie, about half an hour before we started recording. I'm just ugly crying by myself in the office. I'm like, humans can be good. Humanity's okay. All right, help each other, please.
Can be good. Can be
good.
Key problem here.
You just got to help each other. It's easier than it seems.
You know the whole chivalry is dead
Uh-huh.
meme that started when we were younger?
Hmm.
I think empathy is dead.
Yeah, probably. But maybe people should just watch Summer Wars.
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. What are your kind of final thoughts here for Summer Wars before we get into the rankings here or the ratings? Sorry.
I liked it a lot. It was much more heartwarming than I expected with a title like Summer Wars.
Right.
I was expecting mecha fights, um,
Right. That's
that
the
kind of thing.
Evangelion season.
Yeah, that's psychological trauma wars is what
Yes.
that is.
It's very much.
Um, I don't know. It was a lot. It was a lot more heartfelt than I expected to be. A lot warmer. A lot more friendly. And
Mm,
honestly, like you said, kind of exactly what I needed. Like
yeah.
at this moment in time, was to be like, yeah, it is possible for us
That's
to
right.
be better.
That's right. It's okay
Possible
to be
is
kind.
the key.
Yeah.
Yes, which
It
is just.
it's a good time to remind people it does not make you weak to be kind.
Mhm.
It's a good
It does
thing.
not make you strong to rage out on everybody.
That's right. It does not make you strong to be mean.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um yeah, I agree. I don't think this is a perfect movie by any stretch. I like I said, I think the third act sort of stumbles a little bit in the kind of like bombastic anime way that only anime can. But
Mhm.
this is one of my favorite movies of all time. There's something about it, about the back and forth between the two worlds and the family gathering around this tragedy they're sort of experiencing, and the a family that could be left sort of to float away in the absence of the great grandma's passing. Um,
Mhm.
I like to see that they come together, and they not only do they keep their family together, but they keep the internet together, which is pretty good. But yeah, I like I've been talking about. I love it. I and especially now finishing it, it's just like, yeah, all right. That's kind of like the booster shot I needed for positivity of like, yep, we can do great things.
Yes.
Yeah,
We just need to, get
just
our
need to,
thumbs out and do it.
to do them. All right, let's talk about ratings here. IMDb 7.4 out of 10 with 32,000 ratings. Rotten Tomatoes has a 79% on the tomato meter, 87% on the popcorn meter, and Letterboxd has this at a 3.8 out of 5. Um, I those are
Three
probably
point three point eight is pretty good. Like
yeah,
I think, yeah, 3.5, 4 is probably where I lie on it. If out of five, I mean out of 100, I mean out of five.
that's right.
Um,
That's right. It is interesting though, because I think especially for anime, we typically don't see ratings that are as high as that. Because I
mhm.
think a lot of people uh, do a lot of like drive-by one stars of like anime blit for babies, whatever for kids. But I think we didn't see a lot of that for either of these movies, which I think is really interesting. Um,
Yeah.
so that's cool. I like it. Two thumbs up. I actually like both of these movies.
hmm
Just to kind of wrap up
In
the season.
wildly different ways.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of fun to see through both of these movies. The Night is Short featured a very small but fantastical story, and Summer Wars features a very big and very fantastical but also kind of grounded at the same time story. So it's kind of neat to see two sides of the same coin with vastly different movies and vastly different art styles, storytelling, sort of the whole thing. So, all right, that has been our season. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening here. Reminder, patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
Check that out at the $5 tier or higher. You can get the the Critical Misses production meeting. I was just going to say the Patreon again. That's where I'm telling you to go. The Critical Misses production meeting, where between seasons, that week between seasons, we Moon and I sit down with the big spreadsheet with our calendar, and we talk about how the show's going. You know what we're gonna do some wheeling and dealing for the next season. Try and figure out. Hey, is there a left turn we can do here? There's a season we can do for, this holiday, or whoops, we haven't done this year. What are your pet projects for 2024 and 2025? That sort of thing.
Yep.
I I highly recommend, if you like any of our shows, I really recommend the production meetings. I think they turn out really fun. It's very much a fly on the wall sort of thing. If you think it sounds boring, it genuinely really isn't. I think it sounds really cool, and I think if you want to get into kind of the reasons how and why we make these shows and kind of the ethos behind the shows and behind some of the seasons, I think that's kind of your best place for figuring that stuff out. And now that we're getting to the end of the calendar year, that wraps in some production stuff from other shows too. So if you want to hear some of that stuff over there, patreon.com/E1M1.
One's our numbers.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for yet another season. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.